Um, Daniel, we've got another person here. I thought I was going to have to speak to myself for a while, you know.
Hey,
so this is Daniel Loftus, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Daniel, little did you know that you'd have a day of some very stressful pitching, and then you'd be forced, probably dragged up kicking and screaming to come in here to chat to myself.
I've never been in a minister's office now, so this
there you go. I thought the excitement was to come and speak to me, but it's all to do with being in the minister's office.
Yeah, this is it.
So you have a business, very interesting business, and kind of right up my alley, called Urban Fox. Isn't that right?
That's it.
So, because you'll articulate it far better than I will.
I probably won't, but
well, we'll give it a go. So you've done the pitches and everything. Yeah. So tell us, Daniel, what's Urban Fox?
So basically, what we provide an artificial intelligence solution for marketing managers. Okay. So our technology analyzes lots of big data and provides the marketing team with really, really straightforward analytics on their customers or their customer types. But what Urban Fox does, what a lot of other companies don't do, is we provide a layer of automation. So Urban Fox can actually make decisions on its own about what customers to target, what's the best type of customer to target, and then it can work totally autonomously if need be. So the marketing team can decide, well, we don't want to worry about, the marketing campaigns now for the next week or month or whatever it is, and Urban Fox will just take over.
Okay, so it can automate things, which is pretty powerful, particularly if it's good. The big question is, I suppose, once people mention the word big data, people get freaked out.
Yeah.
So where does the data come from? Where do you get it from?
We tap into the company. I suppose our customers own data sources. We never see the data. The data is still owned and possessed by the company in question. But what Urban Fox does, we take that data, or the technology takes that data and creates just strings of algorithms relating to that data. So we never own the data, we never see the data. It's still owned and possessed by the company as part of whatever legal agreement they have entered into with their customers. So the data on our part, we don't store it, we just store a series of outcomes and analyses based on that data.
Okay, fantastic. So you get the customer's data, which they already have but don't use it effectively at all.
Yeah.
And you actually demystify that for them and help them make better marketing decisions.
Exactly.
Do you use any other third-party places such as, listening tools online, social networks?
It's sort of interesting because when we actually won Best New Idea in the Mayo final last year, and that's where the thinking was that we would just tap into all these social networks. But there's so much noise around social networks that it's becoming increasingly difficult to pull out any useful information. So what Urban Fox does, it just ignores that. Because you don't need to necessarily know it. There's a certain set of metrics that Urban Fox needs to know off the bat, like age, gender, location, that type of thing. But the rest then is, how you react to certain promotions or messaging that Urban Fox has sent you, and that's where Urban Fox gets most of its intelligence, and not from just collecting loads and loads of data, because that's, you're fighting a losing battle there. Like I don't need to know how many tweets you sent out last week or the week before to figure out if you're going to buy coffee tomorrow morning. Sure,
I mean, I completely agree. I think very often the noise and the KPIs that people analyze are the wrong ones for the business. It's the business metrics that one really needs to focus on. So that would make sense. And I've always said that, the guys in Elvery selling Mayo jerseys, need to look at who bought Mayo jerseys last year as part of their marketing strategy, rather than worrying about who's talking about Mayo that are never going to buy Mayo jerseys.
Yeah, and that's it. Like it's just, my co-founder has a brilliant expression, like extracting the signal from the noise. Yeah. And that's really what Urban Fox is really good at, just finding that key indicator.
Fantastic. So it's a working model. It's up and running. You've got clients at the moment.
Yeah, we have a couple of customers on board at the moment. I suppose it's great that they, to an extent, have taken the risk with us, and we'll be expanding that in 2016. I think where we're a little bit different than some software solutions at the moment, we target enterprise level customers. So we go after the big guys, so to speak. But as a result of that, everything is just that little bit slower. Sure. You're talking to customers, they agree to a trial. It could be months before you hear from them again. That type of thing. But yeah, it's we're providing a solution that they want, which is really important. And
fantastic. So who would be a typical customer? So not necessarily one that you already have, but who would be an obvious customer?
Like I suppose, you know, a company that is selling, you know, fast moving consumer goods, they're, you know, between $0 and we'll just say $100. That range. Like we'd love to, like someone like Starbucks would be an absolute perfect client for us because it's fast, repetitious selling. So if anyone from Starbucks,
are you listening, Starbucks? Are you listening? What's your contact details?
So you can find us at urbanfox.ie.
There you go, Starbucks. You're taking that down.
So yeah, it's just, I suppose the faster businesses sell stuff, the more rich the data becomes, the better Urban Fox works.
Cool. Well, that makes sense. And again, how do the concept and idea even come around? And again, like I've said with the other guys today, how are you so brave? And what did you do to actually turn an idea or a concept into a reality?
Yeah, like I suppose I've always had this idea in my head, you know, since I left college about using economics to try and predict stuff. Now, I suppose life came a little bit in the way of that in terms of like, this is my second startup. So I had a high potential startup with Enterprise Ireland for 2 years before starting Urban Fox. And that, I suppose, took up, obviously, that was entirely what I was doing. But at the same time, it sort of taught me, well, you have to do these things, you know, first in order for whatever to succeed. I suppose the idea really came from the initial, you know, seed of the idea was about 3 years ago when myself and a friend tried to figure out, well, could you mathematically predict a good night out in Dublin or a good night out in any town? And the resounding answer to that is yes, but it depends. So it just sort of sat there for a while and thinking about it, and we did the whole product validation thing, and it was sort of going nowhere. But then we began to realize, well, hold on a minute, this machine learning stuff, which is like really cutting edge data science at the moment, is really beginning to take off, and you're able to do stuff now. Like some of the stuff we do now was impossible a year ago, was it like just off the wall 2 years ago. So I suppose when all the pieces sort of fell into position, it was like, right, well, let's just at least try this and let's see if we can make a run at it. And I suppose the IBYE then, it was fortuitous that it started last year when we started. So to an extent, like a lot of what our position here today is totally as a result of our taking part in IBYE last year. Now we didn't get particularly far. We didn't get by the regionals, but it gave us that initial capital to start. Well, let's actually do it.
Absolutely. So I mean, a lot of drive. I love the fact that there's. I mean, I don't mean it, but I love the fact that you had the high performance startup you were involved before. One business didn't work, and you had to drive to potentially go on and develop a far better business, and you're already well on the road to physical success. What possesses where does the drive come from? Where does the risk taking come from? I know a lot of people out there, we have ideas and stuff, but we're petrified of failure.
Yeah, like it's so there's a really, really good podcast I'd sort of recommend anyone to listen to called Freakonomics. Okay. It's about like practical applications of economics, but they have a really good, it's a chapter in their book, and they've done multiple episodes on it about failure. And knowing when to quit and when to give up. And that's something really, so with the last startup, we sort of knew to call it a day. Like we could have sat and we could have gone through funding rounds and kept drawing it out. I was like, well, we're spinning, we could end up spinning our wheels. So it was sort of a thing, well, look, this idea in the back of my mind, I'd go mad if I didn't at least pursue it. Like it's, I suppose that, yeah, there is an element of risk taking, but I suppose it's that calculated risk. Like, everyone talks about validating your idea and validating your technology. And once you start to build that, like you're taking a risk if you decide, oh, we're going to build a product. Sure. And then we'll worry about customers. For the first 6 months that we were working on Urban Fox, we were out talking to customers every single day and saying, well, we have this idea, but would that fit in with what you guys are doing? How would that fit in? And I suppose we kept distilling it down, and it became this point where it's like, okay, there is an element of risk here, but the element of risk now has just gone from 99% to 50 for 40%, that type of thing. So it is about risk mitigation rather than just jumping in and taking risks.
Yeah, and I think that's great, great advice. And I think very often as human beings, we think we're right, we think we know it all, We think we know what customers want. We think something's a great product, and we jump in and we build it before actually finding out whether people really want it.
And like all you have to do is, you know, look at the amount of, you know, companies that are out there or that were out there, and they were this brilliant idea, they were funded, you know, left, right, and center, and then it was realized, well, how are they going to make money out of this? This is like, I'm not sure if you remember, a couple of months ago there was an app called Yo. It was a messaging app. All you could do was send the word yo to your friends. It got a ridiculous amount of funding. It got hundreds of thousands of users, and I was like, why? What is this? What is the point in any of this? So, you know, I think by putting the customer first, and even to an extent, it's sort of contrived, but building the product around, to an extent, around what they tell you.
I mean, I remember years ago when Steve Jobs was talking about Apple and Apple's technology. He says, you know, we start with our customer and we work towards the technology rather than start with the technology and market towards our customer.
Exactly.
So so absolutely what you're saying there. What's been your biggest lesson that you would have learned between your last startup initiative and this one, would you say?
A lot. Like I sort of, like the first startup, it was a great learning experience. You know, it really focused in on what we had to do and how we had to do it. I suppose one of the things that was really important from day one with Urban Fox was talk to customers. This has to be led by customers. Otherwise, it is not a business. It is just a thing we are building. That was, you know, that was critical to us. And then to an extent, it was focusing on what needed to be focused on. So, like, I know we're very much B2B sales. We try not to spend much time on, you know, with Facebook ads, Twitter, all of that type of stuff. It's just extra noise. It's far easier for us to send an email or a LinkedIn message to someone we want to talk to, rather than essentially shouting into the void. It's like, hey, buy our product. So it was really just focusing on, you know, the two things: get the technology right, get the customers sort of bought in on the technology. So yeah, like, I suppose it's just focus. At the end of the day, you're building a business to make money. You're not there to, well, you shouldn't be there to raise your own public profile or whatever else it is. You're there to make money. And once you sort of figure out, well, what's making you money and what's not, it's sort of, you know, it falls into place.
Yeah, so your business plan has a clear money angle, which sometimes you look at businesses and there's absolutely no money angle in place.
Yeah.
So you've got that focus. You've done exceptionally well this year, obviously. Did well last year, mind you.
Thank you.
You've done exceptionally well this year. You're through to the finals in Google HQ in less than 2 weeks now at this stage. Week and a half away. How's the IBYE experience been this year, and what have you learned from it?
It has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, again, I keep going back to so what Mayo LEO did, and I think it was sort of unique in terms of the different LEOs. They sort of pooled together with Galway and Roscommon. So instead of being brought to a hotel or whatever, and here's your practice or whatever, we went to Delphi for a weekend from Galway, Mayo, and Roscommon, and it is just the ability to talk to people who aren't involved in technology. That is, and it's something we don't get enough interaction with. Like, some of the best advice I've ever gotten have been from people who aren't doing technology-based businesses. And look, this, I suppose, even sort of pushing forward, and even like with stuff like this, and, you know, Twitter and that type of thing, like, we're getting signups onto our accounts, we're getting inquiries, which is absolutely fantastic. Like, there is an element of PR we sort of have to do, and you know, and yeah, from start to finish, it has been something I'd recommend, like, anyone to get involved in. Like, even if, you know, I know it's only December now, but certainly to start even thinking about it by the time it rolls around in June or July again, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place, IBYE, with all these meetings of incredible minds coming together. Like, it's incredible. And there's incredible friendships and business acquaintances are formed. I even noticed it from last year, like some of the, you know, even the business and nearly self-mentoring that goes on amongst finalists is fantastic.
Well, this is it. Like, at the end of the day, you know, you might have the greatest thing ever, but you have to sell it, and so does everyone else. So, you know, whether, you know, one of the guys I met at the Mayo, Donald Byrne from Big Red Barn, he just has this brilliant outlook on, you know, focusing on what you need to focus on and not worrying about everything else externally. So, you know, even just have conversations like that, you know, that's absolutely critical. And to an extent, like we were in an idea last year, we're in startup this year. Like to be able to say to some of the idea guys, like, look, this is what they're looking for in IBYE. Like they don't want you to talk about this, they want you to talk about that, and just stuff like that. It's really great just to.
And are you hunting around for additional funding, or what's your goal?
We are and we aren't, I suppose, is the best answer for that. We're sort of fairly okay to keep ticking over now at the moment. If someone does want to come along and give us money, by all means, we'd happily listen to your offer. But I suppose what we want to do now is, we can build with what we have, we can grow, we can expand a bit, and then it's, once we get the market absolutely pinned down, like we're great believers in this lean concept, doing more with less, and it's like for now we don't need a huge amount of money to do what we're doing. I'd rather spend the time talking to customers rather than the time talking to investors. And that's not to belittle the work investors do, but at the same time, you have to pick your battles.
And every business is ready. You're ready to do business.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You listen to Starbucks. Is ready to do business.
Exactly.
Pick up that phone. So you're ready to go. And where would you like to see Urban Fox be? I know it's a horrible question to be asking anyone, but where would you like to see yourself in a year's time? What would you like to be doing?
I don't like the idea of like saying, oh, we're going to be the X for Y.
Absolutely, particularly when it's recorded.
Well, but I'd love to. I just think that the work the Colson brothers have done with Stripe.
Oh yeah.
Like that, I think that should be the model for anyone in our type of software as a service, platform as a service type of thing. But I suppose in a year's time, we fully plan to have an office in the States, and we're sort of investigating that now. And it's just to build a good, sustainable business. Like, what we're doing is interesting. It's not particularly sexy, but we want to have a good, sustainable business to sort of say, well, actually, we're doing this really interesting thing with big data and machine learning, and we're actually making quite a good go at it. But yeah, like we've recently started working with a company in China as well. So that's really exciting, just from the point of view we've sort of never done it before, and that type of thing. So. I'm not going to say, well, in a year's time we're going to be here, because more than likely in a year's time we'll be somewhere totally different. Of
course, and then maybe even better and so on. But no, you can plot the path. So you're those guys in Limerick will continue doing the payments, and you'll be on a pedestal with those guys in the near future.
Well, yeah, and if they want to buy us or anything like that, by all means.
Or even Starbucks, if you're watching
Starbucks
maybe.
A
couple of billion, I'm sure I can probably
we'd settle for one.
Good deal for 1.2 billion. There you go.
Knockdown.
So in a year's time, you're going to be sold to Starbucks for 1.2 million.
Yeah, or whoever.
We've heard it here first. Yeah. Simple as that. One final question for you. Mayo for Sam for Mayo in 2016.
Yeah, I knew someone had asked me.
Why not?
I have I have less than I have no understanding of football or anything like that. Unfortunately, I know at the moment the big issue is a manager, and the Mayo team is without a manager. That's about as far as my understanding. So I'll say yes, Mayo for Sam.
Absolutely. So it is Mayo for Sam is the simple answer, and we need a new manager. Maybe Alex Ferguson maybe could read up on the GAA and come over, do some fishing and coach the boys.
Yeah, by all means.
Who knows? But in a nutshell, so it's Team Mayo. Dan, you've been very generous with your time.
No worries at all.
Really look forward to the finals, and I have my fingers crossed for you. Best
Great
of luck.
stuff. Thank you very much.
Whatever happens, you're already a winner, mate.
Cheers.
Simple as that.
Thank you very much.
See you.